Your talent to remove the murderers off our streets. We do not require a lot of time, just willing and able bodies to get involved. We've had far too many murders this year already not to get involved. If you want to be part of this great organization, call 904-718-1649. We're looking for men, not men acting like boys. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville chapter Facebook or MadDadJacksonville.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
I'm a sausage guy.
Yeah, that butcher shop with the juicy breasts. I like that.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
I have always liked Florida State.
And now I do realize why people don't like Florida Gator fans. So if you're going to blow it out, just blow it out. But Shad Khan, the owner, didn't see it that way.
Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Middle part of the week. We got a lot going on, man. Even though it's a Jaguar bye week, there is a ton to do. The NFL schedule this Sunday is nothing short of sensational. Really, for us here in Jacksonville, it starts tomorrow night, right? Tennessee goes to Pittsburgh. Can Pittsburgh pick up the pieces from the demolishing the Jags laid on them 4 days ago? You got your AFC South arch rival heading in there. And then this Sunday, you got Miami and Kansas City and Germany. You got Philadelphia and Dallas. You got Seattle and Baltimore, Sunday night football. You have Buffalo and Cincinnati. It is a great week of NFL. The Jaguars are on a bye, so you can prop your feet up, watch Red Zone all day, and just thoroughly enjoy yourself. Guest lineup looks like this. Hour number one, it's all about the Jaguars. Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. You get him every week here on Hacker After Dark. He joins us tonight to recap Pittsburgh, recap the previous 8 games, and kind of take a deep breath and look ahead to what lies ahead for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So former Jag Cecil Shorts coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Closer to 8:40 or so this evening, we'll go up to Minneapolis. We had a conversation late last night on our late night program with Judd Zulgad. He's one of my guys up in Minnesota. He's covered the Vikings for years. He's with VikingsWire.com and ScoreNorth.com. And I want to talk to him about Ezra Cleveland, the newest Jacksonville Jaguar. If you did not hear it last night, and I know, Denmark, that our audience at 10:45 and our audience at 8:03, probably very similar, all right? I have no doubt that everybody right now was listening at 10:45 last night. But in the rare instance that you missed that interview, we're going to bring you a Hacker After Dark replay so you can get firsthand knowledge of the newest Jaguar from a guy that covered him for the last 4 years. So Judd Zulgad up in Minneapolis, he comes up in about a half an hour. But as we do to kick it off every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
We're not supposed to let it bother us anymore, right? People in Jacksonville, you the fans, we the media, there was a time where I was probably somewhere in between, quite frankly. I've been doing radio for almost 22 years, but, I was 18 years old when I started. I sat up in the upper deck, section 432, row W, seats 20 and 21, for about 10 to 12 years of that time. Didn't sit in the press box. Are you kidding me? I was out amongst you in the upper deck getting after it on Sunday afternoons. Had a vested interest in the Jaguars and wanting them to win, wanting them to succeed as a fan growing up, and now, of course, on 1010XL, as I tell you, an objective broadcast journalist. But there is no doubt that, as was the case in 1995, as was the case in 1999, 2007, 2017, and now to present day, we here in Jacksonville have a problem with people giving us the business on a national basis. We've tried to ignore it. We've tried to just let it be. Yet we get riled up, we get fired up whenever people run their mouth about the Jaguars. First it was moving to L.A., right? The Jaguars were moving to L.A., and now it's been moving to London. They're going to move to London from a national perspective. The tarps on the field, they don't have, or tarps on the stands, they don't have any fans. Yada, 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 yada. And it really has come big time this week. Now, the Jaguars are getting love from some national folks. Stephen A. Smith on ESPN has the Jaguars number 2 overall in his power rankings. That's respect. Mike Florio, of all people, on Pro Football Talk, a guy that seemingly has no love lost for Jacksonville, has the Jaguars in his top 3 for his power rankings. So certainly there is some respect coming in. But there is some tough things being said about our city and about our team from people in the national media that don't have a damn clue what they're talking about. Example number 1, Craig Carton, I believe is his name. He was on WFAN in New York for years with Boomer Esiason. Found himself in some legal trouble with a Ponzi scheme after he did the time, right? Don't do the crime unless you can do the time. After he did the time, he got his job back. And he then left WFAN and is now on FS1 with a morning show. I didn't know this until this week. So shame on me, I suppose. I had no idea he was on FS1. But listen to what Carton said yesterday morning regarding not only the Jaguar organization, but about you, the Jaguar fans here in the city of Jacksonville.
For those of you in Jacksonville, the 15 of you that actually are legitimate football fans that don't have a passport that says England on it, which is where most of your home games should be, because that's the only way you sell out games over the last 20 years in the NFL. You got to slow your roll. Because when a guy like me comes on TV and lauds the acquisition of Calvin Ridley, I heard crickets out of Jacksonville. Yep. When I'm the guy telling you I agree with Trevor Lawrence, he might have a 5,000-yard season, I hear crickets out of Jacksonville. But you sensitive you-know-what sitting there in Jacksonville, now that you're 6-2, when all I said was, I don't think you're an elite team. Wow! Shut up. I mean, for the first time in forever, you have a team that got off to a good start since Mark Brunell played for you 25 years ago, and you're flexing your muscles.
Tony Baselli, Jimmy Smith.
You live in the worst NFL city in America. If the NFL had its druthers, they never would have put a team in Jacksonville, and they've been trying for years to get the Cons to move that team to any other city from coast to coast. They might even move it to England and give us a legitimate global sport. So keep your mouth shut.
Craig Carton, ladies and gentlemen, FS1, that was yesterday, talking about you, the Jaguar fans, and the city of Jacksonville. Denmark, let's play the other one from that show. It was this was Monday, I believe. You want to know how little these guys know about the Jacksonville Jaguars? See, the interesting thing is guys like that, blowhards on national TV, they haven't had to know anything about Jacksonville. In fairness to them, the Jaguars have been awful for basically the last 15 years with the exception of 2017. So they didn't need to know anything, right? They didn't want to know to begin with, but then they also didn't need to know. Well, now, when the Jaguars are winning, now they kind of need to know what's going on down here. They don't want to have to do it. They could care less about the Jacksonville Jaguars. But at 6-2, with the way the Jaguars are playing, it is literally forcing people like this television show on FS1 to spend time on the Jaguars. And I don't think they like that very much. Here's another piece of audio from earlier in the week on the, I guess it's the Craig Carton show. I don't even know what it's called, on FS1.
You win 5 straight games, I guess I have to take you seriously. They're going to win their division by default. They're going to have a home playoff game. All that's great. I just don't think they're very good. I respect winning. I have to. That there's winners and losers, and they've won 5 straight games. But I don't think they're anywhere near the class of the AFC. I just don't.
No, because of the Texans, right? The Texans are a better outfit. I respect C.J. Stroud, and you got to respect the Mika Rice. Valid, they lost to the Panthers. I get all that. However, they are the better ball club. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you can't knock a win.
Well, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to say that Houston's better than them. You just lost to the Panthers. So it's hard to argue that Houston's better than Jacksonville.
We'll see.
Somebody on that television show, somebody that got paid, I don't even know who that was. Somebody on the panel, might have been a former player. I literally have no idea. But somebody that got paid to be in front of a television camera on Monday morning that people, I suppose, watch this television program or else they would not be on, said Houston is the better ball club. Houston is the team to beat. Yeah, Houston beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville's also up 2.5 games on the Texans. Talk to me in 3 weeks when Jacksonville goes to Houston and beats them by about 3 touchdowns. The revenge factor, which is going to happen. And the reason I bring all this up is this. Some NFL markets, fan base, even some media, probably would not care about this. Probably would not care about the negativity from a national basis. We here in Jacksonville, it basically brings us all together, right? That whole Duval versus all y'all. This fan base gets riled up when national media comes after the city, like you just heard the Carton Show do, and when this national media comes after the organization. When national people do that, that does us a favor here in Jacksonville because it gets us pissed off. And as a fan base, I know you get mad every time people say we're moving to London. You get mad every time people bring up tarps. You get mad every time people say the Jaguars have no fans. Because that's all bunk, man. That's bull. That's people that don't know what they are talking about. But as long as the Jaguars keep winning, the Jaguars are forcing people like that to continue the conversation about the Jaguars. And when this fan base gets riled up, when this fan base feels like they've been wronged, we know what the passion is in this city. Look at the fans that traveled to New Orleans for a Thursday night game. The fans that traveled to Pittsburgh this past week. The Bold City Brigade, the Teal Street Hooligans, all these fans that have grown up with this team and are having families of their own now, kids of their own. So I love when national media does that. It's always like this, right? It's the way I feel. You know, 1010XL, whether it's me or anybody else on the station, we can say things about the Jaguars, not to that extent. What Carton did was way over the top. But I think we can be negative. A, it's our job, and B, because we actually know what's going on here. We follow the team. We want the team to succeed. We're as upset about losses as you are. It's when the national folks that have absolutely no idea what they are talking about start railing on you, the fans, and we, the city, and this organization, that really gets me fired up, man. So again, I think the national people, the national folks, do us a favor every time they rip our city or our team. Because it gets everybody here riled. It gets the fan base in a tizzy. And I think players understand that. Maybe they feed off of that. The stadium environment is that much better. Like Trevor Lawrence said, hey, analysts, doesn't matter how we do it. We keep winning. Keep talking what you're talking. The Jaguars have won 5 in a row. They're 2.5 games better than everybody in the AFC South. And as long as they continue winning, which I believe they will, it will force national people to talk about them, which is obviously a great thing for this city, this organization, and this team. 641-1010 is the phone number on the phone line. We'll take a couple of texts as well. On the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You are more than welcome to give your thoughts. Coming up next, as we do every week, my friend Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He joins us every week here on Hacker After Dark. Let's review Pittsburgh. Let's take a look back at the first 8 games. Let's talk bye week, and let's look ahead at what lies ahead for this 6-2 Jacksonville Jaguar Ball Club. Cecil Shorts, former Jaguar wideout, next on Hacker After Dark.
Get opinions, observations, and stories from David Garage.
Let's make a play for 1010XL.
Brought to you by your local Napa Auto Care Centers. Mondays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Let's go, Googans. Let's go, Googans.
On 1010XL.
The best time of the year for blue crabs right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary specials. Mimosas as well, $2.50 noon until 5 o'clock. Of course, each and every Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oysters. Right off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road, it is the Blue Crab Crab House.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. You know, watching Mike Dempsey drop 25 pounds in just over a month, I couldn't help but be amazed. It looked easy, sounded easy, and I want that too. Over the years, I've put on weight, especially after an Achilles injury slowed me down. You know, difficulty sleeping, blood pressure meds, and just not feeling like, well, me. I tried doing it on my own since healing up and had some success, but it's tough without help. Low sugar, no sugar, fat-free, what? I want a program that cuts through the clutter and will be there along the way. After a heart-to-heart with Paige, the owner of Awaken 180, asking her all the tough questions, I was in. Her answers all made sense and were exactly what I needed for myself. So I'm starting the Awaken 180 this week. Want to join me? Let's do this together. Give them a call at 844-346-1800 or check out awaken180weightloss.com. Trust me, if I'm doing it, you can too.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Okay, listen up, team. They're out to test our reputation as the best plumber in Jax, so we gotta play like the experts we are. When customers call with leaky faucets, broken water heaters, toilet repairs, broken pipes, or any other challenge, we'll give them a solution fast. Now, who are we?
Roland Reese Plumbing!
I can't hear you.
Roland Reese Plumbing!
Now that's what a winner sounds like. Customers always win with Roland Reese Plumbing at plumberinjax.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On November 1st, 1959, future Pro Football Hall of Famer Jim Brown runs for 5 touchdowns in the Browns' win over the Colts.
More than qualified to handle your roof. Call J&M and we'll show you the proof. Check with our customers and they all say only one way to go, the J&M way.
Hurricane season is now through late October. If your home sustains damage, don't wait. Call us, J&M Roofing, storm restoration specialists. J&M Roofing, under the umbrella. Call 904-337-0509.
License number CCC 1331951.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100%, feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Perfect Rag Billiards in Murray Hill is your spot to be for all your football needs. Full liquor bar, 8 pool tables, darts, and shuffleboard. Weekend specials include happy hour all day Friday to $3 seltzer Saturdays, along with wing and pitcher specials on Sunday. Watching the Jag game, $19 domestic buckets on game day. There isn't a better place to play pool, have a beer, and just kick back. Perfect Rag Billiards on Edgewood and Murray Hill. The best place in Jax to watch sports.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Wednesday evening, and we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars going into their bye week at 6-2 on the year. It's the best start for the team since 1999, and they are winners of 5 games in a row. With that, let's talk to a man that wore a Jaguar uniform, former wide receiver Cecil Shorts. He's always with us every week here on Hacker After Dark. Cecil, how you doing?
I'm well, brother. I'm well. How you doing?
Cecil, we're good, man. 5 in a row with the win over Pittsburgh last week. I want to look back on the first part of the year with you, but let's focus on Pittsburgh right now. Your thoughts on the Jaguars' win last Sunday?
Pittsburgh is a tough place to play. I don't care what their record is. I don't care what if they're having a good season or a bad season or this year's kind of up and down. That's always a tough place to play. And to see Jacksonville go in there with the weather conditions and find a way to win, find a way to make big plays at the right times, find a way to get pressure on the quarterback, find a way to get takeaways. It says a lot about this team. And to pull off, like you mentioned, Ryan, 5 straight wins heading to the bye week. You were without Tyson Campbell and Andre Cisco yesterday on defense. You still found a way to create turnovers and make plays. It says a lot about this team. They are one of the best teams in the AFC. Now, there's nobody crowned the first 8 weeks of the season, right? The 6-2, you're excited. I'm excited. Fans in Jacksonville are excited, but nobody's crowned through 8 weeks. But through those first 8 weeks, we saw some very good things. Some things we need to work on, but some things that are very good and very promising. So to be a 6-2, I think one of 4 other teams or 3 other teams that are 6-2 right now in the AFC, I think they're sitting in a pretty good spot.
See, so I made the argument October of 2023 could go down as one of the best months in the history of the franchise. I mean, they were 1-2 coming into October, and then you go to London, you beat Atlanta, you beat Buffalo, you come home, you beat Indianapolis, then you go on the road on a short week, you beat New Orleans, and you cap it off by going into Pittsburgh and winning 5-0 in the month of October. One of the best months I think they've ever had.
You know what? I'm not as knowledgeable as you when it comes to the history of the organization. But if you just look at the logistics that we talked about a couple weeks ago, going to London and playing 2 weeks over there, beating a very good Buffalo team that's projected into the year is going to be a Super Bowl contender and one of the top teams in the AFC, coming back and being a tough division opponent, beating a good New Orleans team, and then going to a tough place in Pittsburgh and winning that team in the rain, finding ways to win in the rain. Not to mention that your quarterback is not 100%. Not to mention that you got guys banged up and missing games and starting to come back. That's an impressive month. And I don't know how many games and how many days. I think you said it last week, but it's an impressive month, no doubt about it. And I wouldn't doubt for a bit. This is one of the best months in the history of the franchise. Now it's about regrouping, continue to have this momentum, and get ready for a good San Francisco team. No, they lost, I think, the last 2 or 3. I think it's 3 straight games they lost. But that doesn't matter. They're going to be a good team. That's going to say a lot about where you are if you're truly one of the upper echelons of the NFL.
Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts with us every week here on Hacker After Dark. Cecil, Travis Etienne in the last month has really come on the map as one of the best tailbacks in the National Football League. He scored 7 touchdowns in the last 4 games. What have you seen from ETN? Why has he emerged so quickly here?
He's just a playmaker, man. Obviously, he's getting tons of touches. In the running game, he's very good. But I think what separates him and what is kind of in today's running back style is he's able to line up outside or catch the ball out the backfield. His ability to, and this is what the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted him for, and we saw this at Clemson, right? His ability to catch the ball out the backfield and be a receiver is exceptional. For him to be able to line up and understand, hey, it's cover 2, and I have a possibility to get the ball here and catch the ball on a go route from a running back position, that is a big deal. I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is for him to be able to get open running a go route versus a cover 2 and understand that in the rain and catch the ball and go whatever it was, 50, 60 yards down the field for a score. That's a really big deal. So for him to be able to be that versatile, to have that in his game, it's been that way since Clemson, since him and Trevor Lawrence were at Clemson. They knew, we all knew he was that talented. But I think that's what separates him from the backs. So for him to be able to run the ball in between the tackles and make plays, that's just a plus. I think coming in as a rookie, they were talking about him being more of a receiver type. Maybe not sure if he's the back full time, but he is a legitimate right now a top 5, top 6 back in the NFL because of his versatility. My concern, though, Ryan, through 8 weeks, he has had a ton of touches, and outside of Travis, Tank is fumbling the ball like crazy. D'Ernest Johnson's not getting many touches. And there's still 9 games left in the season. Can he keep this pace up that he's doing? He's touching the ball a ton, making tons of plays, tons of yards, but he's getting hit. And his usage has to be extremely high. Where they lack, I think, when it comes to the offense and the running game is who is going to back him up. We need more touches from D'Ernest or more touches from Tank. We got to figure out this running game and to be able to use other guys to spell Travis, especially as the year gets going, because the goal is not to have a good regular season. The goal is make a run for the playoffs, to get to the Super Bowl. I know if I'm a Jacksonville fan, hey, we're 6-2 for a reason. Let's get this guy the ball and continue to do that. But maybe we should. This is just something to think about. His usage moving forward. What does that look like with 9 games left, with the playoffs left? You want to play through January, play through all the way up until February. Is there a thing where you go, okay, let's get D'Ernest more touches and see what he can do. I know Tank's dropping the ball or fumbling the ball a little bit, but let's get him more touches. He's a rookie and see what he can do, because I don't want Trevor running full-fledged in the run game all the time. You know what I mean? Is he good and productive in the running game? Yes. Should there be some design runs for him? Yes. But he can't be your number 2 option. You need other options in the running game. So as special as he's been, I think we got to keep our eye on that moving forward.
Yeah, see, so I agree with you. And look, D'Ernest Johnson, heck, JaMycal Hasty. Last year, JaMycal Hasty, I thought, did fine in what they asked him to do, and he's been an inactive for most of the first 8 games. I think you got to look at that position, no question about it. A position that really is taking off again is Evan Ingram at tight end. The guy's on pace for over 100 catches. He has 51 grabs on the year. Hasn't found the end zone yet. I think he's a little frustrated by that. But nevertheless, 51 grabs in 8 games. Cecil, you wonder how Evan would respond after that big contract. I think we've gotten that answer the first part of the season.
One of the best signings this all season for sure, man. 10 targets, 10 catches, I believe, in the rain last week. Showed up in a huge way. I think the biggest thing for him is his development over the years. Coming from Ole Miss with the Giants, up and down career, the potential was always there, but they never really got it fully out of him. And then he came here, I think, on a 1-year or 2-year deal, and then he's been exceptional. This year has been outstanding. Signing the big contract this year, but this year has been outstanding. Trevor trusts him. Trevor's fully into they're like their connection is like it's evident, right? They understand where they're going to be, where I need to be, and his run after the catch is big for a tight end. That's huge. So for him to be able to make those plays in the rain, his confidence is sky high, like you mentioned, on his way to 100 catches. The offense is explosive. It's got to be consistent, right? The offense can make plays when they need to. It had to be consistent. There's no reason 42% of the time when you're on offense, you have a drive that you don't get a first down. That's an issue, right? But when it comes to your tight end, Evan Ingram, and somebody Trevor can trust, there's a plethora of guys that can make plays. But Evan has been consistent since week one. He is a guy that is fun to watch, and it's exciting to see him continue to ascend. And it's only going to get better from here because the more – if I'm a defense preparing for the offense, right, I got to worry about Travis. I got to worry about Calvin. Oh, man, I got to think about what we're going to do in the slot when it comes to Christian Kirk. Dang. Okay, now we got to be honest and put our best safety, make sure he's watching Evan Ingram. Oh, guess what? Zay Jones is back next week. Now we got to watch Zay Jones. It's just man, listen, if this offense can't be consistent the second half of the year, I don't know what to say. I'm expecting them to have a big second half of the year, but a big part of that is because Evan Ingram is stepping up and playing big ball.
A couple of more for former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. And Cecil, that's kind of the point, man. You mentioned Zay Jones. All right, the Jaguars are 6-2. On defense, Devon Hamilton missed the first 7 games. DeJuan Smoot missed the first 5 games. Zay Jones has missed parts of 6 games. Walker Little hasn't played in over a month. Devin Lloyd has missed time. Tyson Campbell has missed time. Andre Cisco has missed time. This team has been far from healthy this year, and it hasn't mattered, right? They're 6-2 despite that. And after the bye, the thought is, Cecil, some of these guys are going to get healthy again. I mean, the second half, you don't want to get too far ahead of the story here, but, boy, there could be some fun here in Duval County.
I anticipate it being a great second half of the year. I truly do. Getting guys like Walter Little back, signing guys like Ezra Cleveland to help with the offensive line depth, and then just getting your defensive guys healthy again. This week is so big. It's like a perfect timing if you're a head coach, a GM, or even a player that the bye week comes this time of year. You hate it when it's early, but it's the perfect timing. You got everybody coming to get healthy. It was a rough 5 game stretch that you won 5 straight games in, right? So now it's about getting these guys healthy, getting them back. And this is the perfect time of year to make this second half streak run, to make this continue this momentum through the second half of the season. Will they go undefeated? I don't think so. I think they may slip up 1 or 2 games, but to have go to the next 9 games, you can go 6-3. If you can go 7-2, I think you're in really good shape, and stay healthy and have those guys continue to get reps. Stay healthy into the playoffs. I think you're rolling. I think you're one of the hottest teams. I think you're fighting. I think you really have a chance, honestly, to be a 1 or a 2 seed in the AFC if they can continue this momentum. And this is a credit to the head coach. I'm going to be honest with you. To find ways to win when you don't have your guys out there. Find ways to get these guys continue to believe when you're 1-2 going into a rough stretch. That's a product of Doug Peterson and what he's able to do with these guys. That's why he's one of the best coaches in the league.
Cecil, take us through the bye week. You alluded to it right there. Look, 8 games in, it's been tough, right? London, Thursday night games. I mean, the guys need some rest. As a veteran in the NFL, what do guys do on the bye week? Is it family vacation? Or, I mean, are they going to do what we do on Sunday? Are they going to sit with their feet propped up and watch the Red Zone channel? How do guys, use the bye to their advantage?
I tell you what, if you ask different players, they'll say it'll be different answers, right? Because depending on how old you are, depending on how long you've been in the league, some guys are flying to Miami to have a good time. Other guys are, being with their families. But I think if you ask the guys, the majority of them will be taking care of their bodies. The majority of them will be relaxing and resting. They may fly home and be with family and friends, be with the wife and the kids, but they're going to be resting because they understand the importance of what is coming up the second half of the season, right? Because now the second half of the season, there is no more breaks until you get that bye week in the playoffs. That should be their goal. Hey, let's get a bye week, first week of playoff season. Then we can go into it rolling, right? Go into the playoffs rolling. Whoever is not healthy can get healthy. But I think everybody's on the same page. And the one thing good leadership, one thing good head coaching, one thing good leaders on the team, the captains of the team are telling these guys in the bye week, number 1, don't get in no trouble, right? Don't get in no trouble. They're preaching that. Number 2, take care of your bodies and rest, get refocused to come back here and make this run to the Super Bowl. And number 3, enjoy the time with your family and friends. This next, I guess, 9 weeks on, 9 weeks plus, it's going to be a grind. There's going to be times where we're up late. It's going to be times where you're studying. It's going to be times where it takes time away from, family and friends, and the holiday season is coming. So enjoy your family now because it's grind time when you come back. And it's exciting, man. If I'm honestly, I've never been in a bye week where I'm 6-2. I don't have that experience with a 5-game win streak, and the 49ers coming up in 2 weeks, which is going to be a huge game. So I'm excited for them, but I know they're going to rest and recharge and get their battery ready to make this run the second half of the year.
Final moments here with former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. Cecil, we got about 2 minutes and change to go. Quickly around the division. Boy, Will Levis, that was something for a debut last week in Nashville. Your old teammate DeAndre Hopkins went into the fountain of youth, and he looked like the old D-Hop last week. They got an interesting one tomorrow night against a Steeler team that, quite frankly, the Jaguars beat the crap out of last Sunday. So you got to wonder where both teams are at, Tennessee and Pittsburgh, going into tomorrow.
You know what? I think this is the time where Tannehill is done in Tennessee. I think it truly is. I think Sunday for me told me everything I needed to know. You throw 4 touchdowns, you're throwing the hop, you're targeting D-Hop, you're finding guys open, you throw for over 225 yards, you're making plays. That's what they need. They need a QB. And have they found him? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow night if he can do it again, if he can be consistent, right? How do you use Derrick Henry? How do you find Hop? How do you hit your other targets? But to me, that tells me, okay, in Tennessee, it's time to move on. Tannehill, he had a decent run. He is who he is, and he's not the future. So is Will Levis the future? No. Let's continue. If I'm them, let's continue to use him the rest of the season and see what he can do. But I think they're done with. I think it's time to move on in Tennessee with Will Levis.
The luster appears to be off Indianapolis. They just can't seem to get things done in the fourth quarter at 3-5. And that quickly brings me to Houston. And you are a former Texan as well, although, of course, around here you're former Jaguar, Cecil Shorts. But you did spend some time with Houston. You live out in that area. You got to wonder with a young football team, they've now lost 2 games on the last kick. Atlanta did it to them, and Carolina did it to them last week. You wonder if a young football team, if that'll start to get to them.
You know what? It comes down to leadership. Similar to how I talk about Doug Peterson, how he finds guys. He's helping Jacksonville find ways to win with no matter who's in the game, no matter who's injured, no matter what the weather is. It comes down to leadership with the Houston Texans too. And I don't think that DeMeco Ryans going to let this team fall to the wayside. They're a young team, so they're going to butt their heads. They're going to be in situations where they shouldn't be. They're going to find ways, particularly to probably lose games when they shouldn't, right? But these are lessons. These are moments that they can't let get away from them. Even though they lost the last 2 games on last-second field goals, what can you take away from this? So that head coach needs to do a great job of, hey, we were in this game. We should have won this game. We should have won this game. We could easily be 5-3 right now. We're not far away from where we want to be, but we got to continue to grind. We got to continue to do the small things. We got to continue to focus on the process, and the bigger picture will come for us. So I think they're in good position. I think they're still confident right now. I think the excitement is still in Houston because last year they weren't in many games. It wasn't fun to watch. They kept playing. It wasn't good football. It wasn't a good product out there. The year before is the same thing. So this year, I think the fans are still in it. I think the players are definitely still in it. And they have a good one this week to try to get the path going again try to get on the right path again with Tampa Bay coming to town. So we'll see what happens. But I think DeMeco is going to have these guys ready to go, and I expect them to play some good football.
Jaguars 2.5 games clear of the field. We'll see what happens with Tennessee, Indy, and Houston this week. Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's with us every week here on Hacker After Dark. Cecil, enjoy the bye next week. San Francisco, my goodness, it'll be Chase Young's debut for the 49ers. What an atmosphere that should be. We'll break it down in 7 days. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime.
There you go. Cecil Shorts with us every week here on Hacker After Dark. It was interesting, too, what he said about the bye week, right? Depending on how long you've been in the league, maybe some young guys want to go release some steam a little bit. Some veterans just want to hang out around the house and watch some football. But either way, it's rest for the Jaguars. 8 games down. Still 9 games to go, right? They're not even technically halfway through their year. I guess halftime of San Francisco will be the exact midway point of the season. So there is a long way to go here in 2023. There is no question about that. We'll go up to Minneapolis here in just a little bit. Judd Zulgad of Score North and VikingsWire.com. Want to get his take on the newest Jaguar, Ezra Cleveland, who the Jaguars traded for yesterday. He had some interesting things to say about Ezra Cleveland. Also want to ask about Danielle Hunter, the defensive end up there, and why no trade for him, Jaguars, or any other team happened yesterday. So Minnesota was very active, including sending Ezra Cleveland here to Jacksonville. We'll talk about that in just a moment. I did want to throw this out there. Gator fans, if you missed this earlier today, in fact, within the last, 2 hours, Shamar James, starting linebacker for Florida, will miss the rest of the season. He had surgery to fix a dislocated kneecap. And what's interesting about that is, remember, he got hurt in pregame warmups on Saturday here at the cocktail party. He played through it, and thankfully there were no other real injuries. The field was in serious question during warmups and early in the game. Nothing else seemingly happened, but now with the news coming out about Shamar James' season-ending injury, you got Gator media, you got Gator fans coming out on social media right now, not very happy with the field and the city of Jacksonville and how that went down. Now, look, was it a problem? I don't know. I just saw the video of when he got hurt in pregame warmups, and it did appear that the field wasn't great. But again, nothing else significant injury-wise happened for either Florida or Georgia, so you don't want to jump to that conclusion. But clearly, Gator media, Gator fans right now this evening with the news that Shamar James will be out the rest of the year, not very flattering on the field conditions after it was resodded here in Jacksonville prior to Florida, Georgia, or I guess now Georgia, Florida, this past Saturday afternoon. So more on that in just a bit, but back into the world of the National Football League. Up to Minneapolis, Minnesota we go. Judd Zulgad, VikingsWire.com. Let's talk about the newest Jacksonville Jaguar, Ezra Cleveland, who the Jaguars brought in at the trade deadline yesterday afternoon. It is a Wednesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're glad you're with us right here. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
1010XL is your home for play-by-play on Bishop Kenny football.
I'm Coach Krause of the Bishop Kenny Crusaders. We close out our regular season on Friday night against University Christian. Hear all the action live on 92.5 FM.
All right, Jeff, all I need you to say is, hi, I'm Jeff Lagerman, and me and everybody I played professional football with thinks Shark Coatings is the best.
I'm not going to do that.
You can't. What will you say?
Well, I mean, look, the floor is durable. It's easy to clean. It looks fantastic. It's the second time I've used it. What more do I need to say?
I mean, that works too, I guess.
Okay. Can you step off the ladder?
No one's going to know.
Trust me, they'll know. You're not as tall as I. Thanks.
Whether you are looking for a job or an employer trying to hire, there's only one stop in Jacksonville, Remedy Staffing. Labor trends keep us guessing. As employers, the job market's been strong. So what does that mean for workers' availability? If you're interested in the workforce solutions or how the Remedy team can help you, call or text Crystal at 904-329-9802. 329-9802, Remedy Staffing.
Create great futures for young people when you run or walk at McKenzie's Run Saturday, November 18th. Join Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida for a 5K and 1 mile fun run through the stadium course at TPC Sawgrass. Register at McKenzie'sRun.org.
What? They did not tell me they were going to do that. I need a new bank.
Well, actually, One-to-One Financial doesn't do the usual bank surprises because we're not a bank. We're a credit union, and that means lower loan interest, things like free checking and member rewards, and of course, total investment back into our community.
I'm sold.
Find a better way to bank than big banks with One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Visit 121fcu.org for more information on opening an account today.
Federally insured by NCUA. Three-time SEC champion Chris Doering joins Dan and Jeff on the drill.
I wish I'd seen you play football.
Tuesday mornings on 1010XL.
I want the ball. Winners always do.
Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah.
Hey guys, Daniel here from Fourscore. Are you looking for the perfect place to host your corporate holiday party this season? Look no further than Fourscore Golf Tavern. Our spacious venue offers eats, drinks, and multi-simulator gaming. With only a few spots left, now's the perfect time to secure your booking. Imagine your colleagues swinging into the holiday spirit with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Sipping on festive cocktails, indulging in delicious cuisine. Book online or stop in and let us show you around. Located in the heart of San Marcos Square, Fourscore Golf Tavern.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. For 46 years, Monahan's has been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with thousands of items of fine jewelry on display. But did you know we also have the fastest jewelry repair in town? That's right, our team of master jewelers are among the best craftsmen Jacksonville has to offer, and Monahan's can execute almost any repair with one-day service. Ring sizing, stone setting, prong replacement, one-day turnaround. Monahan's has the fastest jewelry repair in town. It doesn't matter how complex, Monahan's can do it in one day or two. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Denny Thompson here. Are you a home builder looking for a reliable low-voltage partner? Look no further than Tyson Sound and Security. They've been working hard with large and small builders for 15 years. Here's why they are the top choice. They will enhance your home buyer's home experience by offering custom home design appointments, and your budget stays intact while they deliver top quality services. Builders, send your plans over today to bid. Tyson Sound and Security, security and home automation experts.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Frank Frangie here. This Thanksgiving, only at the Southern Steer Butcher website. For a limited time, order your never-frozen Amish-raised turkey. Raised with care, free from hormones, steroids, and artificial ingredients. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Prime Men's Medical Center now, and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The NFL trade deadline today, and the Jaguars make a move with Minnesota. Not for the guy that everybody thought, but nevertheless, an interesting piece is coming back to Jacksonville with offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland. With that, let me welcome in Judd Zolgad. He's covered the Minnesota Vikings for years. Score North up there in Minnesota, the Purple Daily podcast. You also catch his work there at Vikings Wire, and we're always appreciative of him joining us here in Jacksonville. Judd, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Judd, we're doing well. All right, Ezra Cleveland. Offensive lineman, former second-round pick. A little bit of a surprise here in Jacksonville. Tell us about him. What are the Jaguars getting?
Well, they're getting a guy who was a second-round pick and is going to be a free agent after the season. He was the Vikings starting left guard for the past couple of years. His first year, he actually played some right guard, and then I think it's been the last three now, they flipped him to left guard. Now, here's what's interesting about Cleveland, and I don't know what the Jaguars' plan is, but they're acquiring a guy who my understanding is wants to play where he did in college, left tackle, because of course, as we all know, the money is at left tackle, right? And so I think the reason why they traded him was because of the fact that the Vikings have one of, if not the best left tackle in the game right now in Christian Darrisaw. So clearly Cleveland was not going to get an opportunity to play that position here. The Vikings saw the writing on the wall that Cleveland was going to walk away and decided that they would get something for him. Now, what's interesting about the 6th-round pick that the Vikings got from the Jaguars is that is actually Carolina's 6th-round pick. So it's going to be more towards the top of the round instead of the bottom. I would not be surprised with what the Vikings are doing. I would not be surprised if they acquired that pick with an eye on trying to flip it as part of another trade eventually here, let's say on draft night. But the Vikings essentially decided, because the 6th-round pick is low for a guy who was a 2nd-round pick, the Vikings essentially decided that they would prefer to get something rather than have Cleveland walk in March, and I think that's why this trade was made. The Vikings also signed Dalton Reisner about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and with Cleveland out the past couple weeks because of a foot problem, Reisner has been starting at left guard. I don't know when Cleveland is going to be set to return. My suspicion is with the Vikings, he probably could have come back this coming Sunday against the Falcons. So I think Jacksonville is getting a guy coming off an injury, but I wouldn't be surprised if they need to plug and play him if he can be back in for the Jaguars within the next couple weeks.
Again, Judd Zulgad here with us, Score North, the Vikings Wire website, also the Purple Daily podcast is where you can find Judd there up in Minnesota. All right, Judd, Ezra Cleveland, as far as, the analytics, we're doing our research on him today. Again, it's an offensive lineman. I'm not going to ask you to break down every snap of his career, but based on what we see, pretty good in pass protection, right? Pro Football Focus has a decent grade on him. For Jaguar fans listening, is he a mauler? Is he a finesse guy? How would you describe him?
Probably somewhere in between. The Vikings offensive line previously up until this year has been pretty suspect. It started to improve. And obviously now with Brian O'Neill at right tackle and Darrisaw on the left side, their tackles are good. I think Cleveland was having one of his best years. Definitely a guy that can mull in the run game. The pass protection at times has been spotty. I don't think he's going to knock your socks off. I don't think that you're going to see him pancake guys. I do think that if the Jaguars have injury problems and or need a slight upgraded guard, he's a good answer. But I wouldn't become too big a fan because, again, my point is I think he's going to go hit the open market in March, and I think he's going to be looking for an opportunity to play tackle. But he's been having a solid 2023. So this is certainly probably short term, if nothing else, a good pickup by what looks like a really good team, because the Jaguars, in my opinion, from up here are a great story. You got a good coach, quarterback. It's a lot of the things that the Vikings probably would like to eventually have, which, of course, is a young quarterback on a rookie contract, but who looks like he's got an incredibly bright future.
Judd, you alluded to it earlier, and based on the reaction I'm getting on social media, I saw some New York Jets media. There was some San Francisco 49ers media, even though they should be over the top. I mean, they just got Chase Young earlier today, so I don't know what they're complaining about. A lot of teams that needed interior offensive line help were basically saying, I can't believe we didn't look at that to get a guy like Cleveland for that low, being a 6th-round pick. I think you've alluded to why that may happen, but even you, are you surprised Jacksonville is able to get a guy like Cleveland for that low of value?
Oh, yeah. I thought it would be more, and I'm not saying a day 1 or 2 pick, despite the fact that Cleveland was a 2nd-round pick himself. I'm a little bit surprised it's not like, let's say, a 4 or at the very least a 5. So I get the fact it's at the top of round 6. So, it's akin to probably a late 5th round pick. But yes, and if there was competition out there, I am really surprised that the Vikings couldn't at least, if nothing else, leverage teams, including the teams that you talked about, the Jaguars, the Jets, and San Fran, where Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has past relationships with guys, including GM John Lynch. I am a little bit surprised that they couldn't get like a fifth round pick. So yes, a 6th round pick for Cleveland does seem low. I do think the Vikings are looking to get picks, though, to possibly flip those things.
You can listen to Judd Zolgad there at Score North with the Purple Daily podcast. You can also read him at Vikings Wire. Judd, as we begin to wrap up, the Jaguars and the fan base, and a lot of fan bases, were obviously intrigued about Danielle Hunter. It appears that is not the case, and Danielle Hunter will remain a Minnesota Viking. What was your thought on that whole process, and what is the future for Danielle Hunter in Minnesota?
Well, at 0-3 and 1-4, I thought today he would be moved for sure, and I thought that the Jags had a very good chance. Now, my question was, to go back to the Cleveland trade, what was the compensation, right? Because at the very least, if I'm the Vikings and I traded Hunter right now, and, just keep in mind, he's having a fantastic year. If I'm not mistaken, leads the National Football League in sacks. If I was the Vikings, I would have at the very least said I need a conditional first. So I would not, that's not a trade that I would have taken anything less than what I demanded in that trade. But that being said, Hunter staged a hold-in to start training camp. He signed they tore up his contract. He signed a 1-year contract. The team forfeited the right to franchise tag him after the season. So he is going to be a free agent in March. And with the way he's playing right now, my guess is he's going to get paid. I think he's 28 going on 29. So he's not young, but he's still incredibly effective. So at 1-4, I thought the Vikings would trade him for sure. I thought that would be a smart move. The issue is this. They're 4-4. The problem, though, is this. Kirk Cousins just suffered, as we all know, a season-ending Achilles tear on Sunday. I don't think the Vikings could sell to their locker room or fan base, though, after fighting back to 4-4 with 3 consecutive wins, that they were actually going to trade their best defensive player, or certainly one of their best. So my question now to the Vikings is, are you going to make every attempt to sign Hunter before he hits the open market, or is he going to walk? Because if he walks, that's a tremendous loss, because I will say I do not see this as a Super Bowl team. Can they make the playoffs? Yes. The NFC is dreadful, and the 6th and 7th seeds are not going to be good teams. But really, the 4-4 mark puts the Vikings in a difficult position unless the intention now is to get a multi-year contract done with Hunter. But with the way he's playing, he might say, forget that, and just decide he's going to hit the market in March. And if he does, he's going to get paid.
Judd, appreciate the time. I know it's a very busy day up in Minnesota. Not only are you trading guys out, I see Josh Dobbs is rolling in to the Twin Cities, so I know you're busy. Thank you again for joining us on short notice. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
Sounds good. Take care. Thank you.
He brings intelligence from the opposition.
Still working for MI6, or have you decided to join the 21st century?
Hayes Carline takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors.
That's top secret.
On 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars. Come out to the Stout Snug for daily happy hours and Brackish Bloody Marys on Saturdays and Sundays until 3 p.m.
WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
The best time of the year for blue crabs right now at the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been open since 1996, and they are a staple here in Duval. Sundays, you have the Bloody Mary specials, mimosas as well, $2.50 noon until 5 o'clock. Of course, each and every Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oysters. Right off of San Jose on Julington Creek Road, it is the Blue Crab Crab House.
Are you fed up with your old, unreliable AC system? Then you'll love Bolt City Heating & Air's Black Friday Trade-In Extravaganza, going on all month. It's the deal of the season. They're offering a whopping $2,400 trade-in cash for your old AC system, so you can upgrade to a brand new, energy-efficient unit. That's right, $2,400 toward a comfortable, worry-free holiday season. It's the Black Friday sale that lasts all month, only at Bolt City Heating & Air and BoltCityAC.com.
You dream it, we build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
Turn your backyard into an outdoor living oasis with CSS. Your number one choice for custom outdoor kitchens, grills, fireplaces, pergolas, and outdoor living. Because
you dream it, we build it. CSS.
Dan Hicken here for Bowdeny & Associates. I want to remind you that now is the perfect time to schedule your eye exam. Take advantage of your existing insurance benefits before they reset in January. Join the many satisfied patients who trust Bowdeny with their vision. Schedule your eye exam now and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with clear and healthy eyes. And remember, your deductibles reset in January, so don't miss out on the benefits you've already earned. Bowdeny & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
The IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 2nd.
Frank Franzi here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools, because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277, or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go with you till 10 o'clock. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Good Saturday coming up of college football. Florida and Arkansas, the Swamp, high noon for the Gators and the Razorbacks. Of course, Florida, maybe the big story coming into this game is not what's going to transpire on the field, but what the attire will look like. Is for the first time ever, Florida going black helmets, black uniforms. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'll give you my thoughts on Monday. As long as Florida wins, I guess I'll feel fine about it. They have to win the game. If they don't win this game, they are in real jeopardy of not going to a bowl game. Arkansas is terrible. They fired their offensive coordinator. They have been in most games. They just haven't found a way to win any of them in the fourth quarter. Pretty surprising, because KJ Jefferson's a really good quarterback. Sam Pittman probably on the hot seat out there as Arkansas comes in at 2-6. Of course, high noon, you will hear that game right here on 1010XL. Florida State goes to Pitt, and we'll get into the college football playoff rankings in one moment. They go to Pitt, and it's, look, Pitt's awful. They lost by 51 last week to Notre Dame. They're 2-6. It's probably going to be cold. It's probably going to be wet up there. We just saw the Jaguars playing that on Sunday. 30,000 people maybe in the stadium. It'll be half full. Florida State will have to bring their energy, man. They'll have to bring their own energy. Remember, they have Miami next week. We saw this earlier this year, right? They went to Boston College and committed penalties and turnovers and messed around the week before Clemson. It almost cost them. Will lightning strike twice? I mean, clearly they're better than Pitt. But will there be any sort of look-ahead factor with Miami next week? Speaking of Miami, they play NC State. That's a good game, man. That's a good game. Hurricanes and the Wolfpack. I'll watch that one. That's a very even game. Two pretty good teams. Georgia has essentially an SEC East championship game. 3:30 CBS. They take on a Missouri team that should be undefeated. Missouri is 7-1, as is. They had LSU beat in the fourth quarter before they messed around and lost that game late. Missouri in the top 15 in America. That'll be a good one in Athens. And then that's the 3:30 game. At 8 o'clock, you basically have an SEC West championship game with LSU and Alabama there in Tuscaloosa. So it's a good week of college football. To the college playoff rankings last night, no real surprise other than maybe where they were 1-4. Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, Michigan 3, Florida State 4, undefeated Washington outside looking in at 5. I do think what that goes to show you, Florida State probably has a better resume than Georgia and Michigan. They definitely have a better resume than Michigan. Probably a better resume than Georgia to this point, but yet they're ranked behind them. I don't know if Florida State can lose a game and get into the playoff. I thought they could, but based on the initial rankings where they're 4, remember, if you lose a game, that puts you back in lines with the likes of Penn State, Alabama, teams of that sort, also with 1 loss. Very likely Florida State might have to run the table. I thought it was disappointing that Florida State came in 4 last night. Denmark, quickly, you said you had an interesting stat about those rankings one night ago.
Yeah, I didn't really look at the rankings. I just skimmed it. If we're looking at next year, 11 of the top 12 right now in the college football playoff are either going to be in the SEC or or in the Big Ten next year.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And the only exception to that would be Florida State.
Yep.
Wow.
So you're going to have big time. I mean, I think what you're seeing now is what's going to happen in the future. Big time games every single week. It's going to be great.
More college football coming up tomorrow night here on Hacker After Dark as we get you ready for a big college football Saturday. Coming up next, Ryan Fowler, Bleacher Report, National Football League writer. Always love talking ball with Ryan. We'll talk not only Jaguars, AFC South, but the AFC as a whole. Bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, Brian Toporek, one of my NBA guys. We're already a week into the NBA regular season. We'll look back on the first week, preview what comes ahead here as the NBA gets underway. With Dylan Denmark, I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Wednesday night, it's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
He's not the Department of Defense that holds the line.
The leader of the elite task force for the DSS.
It's the defensive player of the game.
Intercepted!
Catch the superior fence and rail defensive player of the game on 1010XL.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The year is almost over. Do you need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt-free for the new year? Call Lone Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Listen, if you have a ton of equity in your house and Loan Pronto can help you turn that equity into cash, you can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards, pay off personal loans, or start that home improvement project. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact. So your 3% rate, it's protected. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal. So you can get your money super fast. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards before the new year. Get yourself on solid financial footing before the year ends and call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Want even more excitement on game day? Then test your skills at PrizePicks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. Simple. You can turn $10 into $250 just like that. I've got Kevin Durant scoring less than 31.5 points against San Antonio and Tua Tagovailoa passing for less than 286.5 yards against Kansas City. Now listen to this. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Sweat it out, watch your entries in real time, and continue the fun by making picks on second half and fourth quarter stats. Take your game day experience to the next level with PrizePicks. And right now, when you go to prizepicks.com/1010XL and use the promo code 1010XL, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. That's right, $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Get ready for big hair and big hits with Warrant.
Sweet cherry pie.
November 3rd at Thrasher Horn Center. Spend the night in rock heaven.
Heaven isn't too far away.
Warrant, featuring 4 original members finely tuned in tip-top musical form. Warrant, playing the hits. See Warrant at Thrasher Horn Center. Get your tickets now.
Hacker here, and look, football season is in full swing, and no game day setup is complete without the Sausage Dude sausage. I'm a sausage guy, and the Sausage Dude sausage is the best sausage I've ever had. Try their 4 terrific flavors, including Polish, Hungarian, beer bratwurst with jalapeno, and my personal favorite, the Italian today, by picking them up at any Publix in the Jacksonville area. Football and sausage, it's a winning combination. Go get the Sausage Dude sausage at any Publix in the Jacksonville area right now.
Elevate your driving experience with Osteen Volvo Cars of Jacksonville. The Osteen Volvo team is a key piece of our community, and when it comes to cars, excellence is non-negotiable. Visit Osteen Volvo on Phillips Highway, online at osteenvolvo.com.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics. Look, are you sick and tired of living with that constant pain in your knees and back? Joint pain doesn't just keep you from doing what you love, it affects your job, your relationships, even simple things like getting dressed. It's time to call QC Kinetics. They've got 2 great locations here, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. And look, you can get in. They have appointments available right now. This week, call them at 904-274-5522. You got to give them a chance. Hips, shoulders, elbows, they can treat everything with natural biologics from your own body. Powerful healing agents, highly concentrated. If you're tired of steroid shots that don't work, or if you're trying to avoid surgery, call QC Kinetics now to schedule your free consultation. Learn more about these exciting new cutting-edge treatments. Again, 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars 6-2 heading into their bye week. They are tied for the top record in the AFC, and over the last 13 regular season games dating back to last year, the Jaguars are 11-2, which is absolutely insane to think about. Let's talk to a man that covers the National Football League on a daily basis for Bleacher Report. My friend Ryan Fowler, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ryan, how you doing?
We're doing well, Ryan, on this trade deadline Halloween day. It's been a busy day, but happy to talk some Jaguars football.
Yeah, it has been a busy day. And look, Ryan, you and I have talked for the last couple of years. Normally, it's about the Jaguars picking in the top 5 or the Jaguars losing, so many games in a row. Boy, this turnaround here locally, you can imagine what we're feeling. From a national point of view, Ryan, what's the thought on Jacksonville right now, sitting at 6-2 on the year?
Yeah, it's nice to see Jacksonville back, not just relevant, but now moving towards trying to be one of the quote-unquote titans of the AFC, meaning to compete with the elites, the Buffalo Bills, right? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals of the world that we've known the last 2-3 years, 4 or 5 years. And it's just with Doug Peterson, since he came in town, his ability to put his foot on the neck of this organization and the expectations that he's given to these players in all 3 phases, it's really nice to see Jacksonville 6-2. Last time we talked was right before week 2, or I believe week 3. And now they've rattled off 5 straight wins. They're 6-2, one of the top 4 teams in the AFC. And at this point, it looks like they may run away with the entire division with everybody else under 500. So it's really nice to see the young players, the veteran players, your high draft capitals producing, the guys in the back end, your glue guys are showing up. Everyone's competing in all 53. Everyone has a role. And it's nice to see how well-cogged a machine that Doug Peterson has down there.
Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report. Yeah, you mentioned 1-2. In the last 5 games, Ryan, the Jaguars have the longest winning streak in the NFL currently at 5 games. And it's not as if they're beating awful teams, right? When you take into account Atlanta, Buffalo, Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Pittsburgh, those 5 teams have a combined 20 wins. So they may not be the cream of the crop in the league, but they're certainly middle of the pack. So the Jaguars are beating teams that are competing for playoff spots.
And I think that's good to see, especially early on in the season where you even have younger guys, your first-year, second-year guys are still trying to get their feet wet, get the rust off from the summer. But you really can't enter a season and shake off that much rust when you have the expectations that the Jaguars had, making the playoffs last year and entering this year inside a division that had Anthony Richardson starting. And, of course, C.J. Stroud down in Houston, a division that's wide open. And now Will Levis in Tennessee. So that's 3 rookie quarterbacks and Trevor Lawrence. And at 6-2, you feel good about yourself. But after this bye week, they got their biggest test, and that is at home against the San Francisco 49ers, who just added a player by the name of Chase Young, who I know we'll get to later. But that's going to be their biggest test as far as they go to 7-2 and they beat the Niners at home. They're going to get some national attention, more so than they would already have.
Ryan, in your opinion, what happened? Why from 1-2 to 6-2? What has happened over the last 5 weeks?
I think they've been able to accustom as far as win a game in whichever way Doug Peterson sees fit. And what I mean by that is if they want to win a shootout, they want to score 30-plus on the scoreboard every single week, they can do that with the athletes that they've added on the outside and the progression of Trevor Lawrence continued year by year. And if you want to have a game like they had against Pittsburgh where it's a 1970s defensive battle, 20-10 in Pittsburgh where it's not easy to win no matter how good or how bad the Steelers are, your ability to tailor what you want to do on offense and defense, execute when you're given the opportunity. Specifically, when I look at that Steelers game, Trevor Lawrence on 3rd down was absolutely fantastic, nearly perfect on the day. It was just fantastic. And those are the high leverage downs that you have to succeed on if you want to not just win games like that in the regular season to where people are looking at you as far as are you a pretender or are you a contender considering your record, or you're just going to be someone that's going to fall behind the curtains a little bit. So when I look at this team and Doug Peterson and obviously his success he's seen in the past, like teams of Philadelphia, we can win a shootout or we can win a tight-nosed defensive football game with the athletes we have on either side of the ball.
Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report. All right. The interesting thing for us, too, Ryan, is you look at this team, 6-2, But you look at the injuries that have been going on through 8 games. DeJuan Smoot missed 5 games. Devon Hamilton has missed 7 games. Tyson Campbell, Devin Lloyd have missed a couple of games. Heck, Zay Jones and Walker Little haven't played a full game in over a month. And yet, despite all that, and by the way, Andre Sisco missed the Pittsburgh game. Despite all that, the Jaguars are 6-2. And the thought now, none of those injuries appear to be, long-term. They have the bye week here. They have a time off to rest and heal. And, man, if they come back healthy, or at least as healthy as they've been this year, I don't want to get too far ahead of the story, Ryan, but, boy, the second half could be pretty fun here in Duval County.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. It's going to be the old days of Jacksonville football as far as just people rallying around the team. And once you reach the playoffs, it's what's next. And what have you done for me lately? That's the NFL. And from the Jaguars' perspective, they've won 5 games in their last 5 games. And they're 6-2. So when you want to bring the microscope back and look at this team, it's still early. It's still relatively early. Again, the second quarter of the season just ended. I think it's a perfect time for the bye week. You're on highs, right? Everyone's positive, whether they go out to the vacations in the Caribbean or out to the West Coast, wherever they may go, on a positive note. And then you come back and quickly, you're not just slowly getting your feet wet the back part of your schedule. You're quickly playing the San Francisco 49ers and giving yourself a barometer as far as not only where are you as a football team and comparatively the AFC, but as a whole in the NFL, because ultimately the goal is to raise the Lombardi Trophy. And with the addition they made today with Ezra Cleveland along that front 5, they're trying to make some moves and bolster an already successful offense. So I'm right there with you. Jacksonville fans should be extremely excited. Now it's just about continuing to execute, not getting too high on your laurels, and not putting the cart before the horse before the season ends.
Yeah, you mentioned Ezra Cleveland, Ryan. Let's go there. You work for Bleacher Report. You still do scouting for the Draft Network. You followed Ezra Cleveland through the draft process a few years ago. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't broken down Ezra Cleveland film. I know you probably have. But what I do know is that guy has played an awful lot of football in Minnesota over the last 4 years. He's only 25 years old, and he's actually reunited with Coach Rauscher, the offensive line coach here in Jacksonville that was with him in Minnesota. What's your thought on what the Jaguars did in bringing in Ezra Cleveland?
I love guys in the middle that can help you out in both phases, meaning the run game and the passing game. So you want to play a game where Trevor Lawrence, you don't ask him to play hero ball and throw the ball 35-plus times a game. We can hand it off to Travis Etienne and continue to try to evolve Tank Bigsby as much as possible. So he's excellent in the run game, displacing 1 tech, 3 techs. He's one of the unique guards in football when I watch him as far as what Minnesota wanted to do. And he's underrated in that facet, considering Minnesota as a market. Because when you think about the Vikings, Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, right? That's what you think about the Minnesota Vikings. But when you see Ezra Cleveland reaching 1 tech across his face, it's not easy to do. And he's going to open up everything from an offensive perspective, both in the run game and in the passing game. Lots of snaps, as you mentioned, has allowed only 1 sack through 6 weeks for the Vikings. He's got guard versatility, primarily at left guard, but can also play some right guard in a pinch if you have to. I just love his game. Big boy, around 6'6". You don't really see the guys that tall at guard. But when you have someone that big, what that means to me from a scouting perspective is that he's someone that's able to sink his hips, and he plays with leverage, and he wins with his hands. And if you're able to do that and control the guys in front of you, whether someone's lined up directly in front of your nose or to your inside or to your outside shoulder, it allows you to succeed for a long, long time in this league. There's a reason why he was taken in the second round, out of Boise State back in the COVID year.
You know, the interesting thing, Ryan, and I want to move around to the division and look at the conference as well, but you bring in Ezra Cleveland. That appears to be a guy that you expect to start for you. Else, I don't know why you would make the move if not. But what does that mean for a guy like Walker Little? I mean, I can't believe that Walker Little is going to find his way onto the bench now as a, quote, swing tackle. But Cam Robinson, Luke Fortner, Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison, now you bring in Ezra Cleveland. Tyler Shatley goes back to being a depth piece on the line, on the sidelines as well. But there's just not room, it appears, for Walker Little, which to me is somewhat surprising.
I agree with you. However, when you're starting to get a team that's starting to win ball games and there's talent everywhere, right? You got to have some talent to win games. Someone's got to go. Someone's going to be put on the bench. Someone may have to go elsewhere as you move into 2024 and the seasons to follow. And potentially, right, that may be Walker Little. I know 2021 second-round pick out of Stanford. I loved him coming out of Stanford. And he's had a good year, too. Hasn't allowed just one sack on the year, according to Pro Football Focus. But overall, the additions that they've made along this front five, now boosting the interior with Ezra Cleveland. You bring over Brandon Sheriff a couple years ago, drafted Anton Harrison, Cam Robinson's already there. Someone's going to be out, right? You can't just align with 6 linemen on the field unless you're going jumbo, and this is 1950s Navy or Georgia Tech, right? So someone's going to be on the outs, and right now it looks like Walker Little. But the main thing for me, Ryan, is I look at Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson. What they're doing is they're consistently building talent and competition along every single positional group. And right now, and for today, it starts along the offensive line. And who's going to show up in practice? Because is Ezra going to start right away? He should. But if he doesn't show up and doesn't understand the playbook, run and pass, well, then maybe Walker Little or there's some shuffling along that front five. But they got bodies everywhere, and I like that.
Couple of more for Ryan Fowler of Bleacher Report. All right, the Jaguars are off. They get to hang out. The Jaguar fan base gets to have their feet propped up watching the Red Zone channel on Sunday. But it begins Thursday. Tennessee goes to Pittsburgh. Will Levis opened some eyes, on Sunday, rather, when he did what he did in a win over Atlanta. This is your wild stat of the day for Titan fans that say, our rookie quarterback, best one, good young quarterback in the league. Will Levis is actually older than Trevor Lawrence, right? Go figure on that one. He's 3 months older than Trevor Lawrence, which I think is wild. But nevertheless, Ryan, what do you think of Levis, and what do you think of the Titans moving forward?
I think when you take it from face value, as far as what you saw Will Levis do on Sunday, you have to give him some credit, because at the end of the day, I get it, right? When he came into this class, it was the big arm out of Kentucky and 2 pro-style offenses with the Wildcats, with Liam Cohen and Rich Scangarello. Now, it didn't work out there a ton, right? Everything wasn't smooth. A lot of people blame the receivers and the offensive line. But when you watch him in that Atlanta game, DeAndre Hopkins down the field, taking his time, the ability to throw off platform, pressure ultimately is what is going to get to him. This week, I expect from this Pittsburgh front seven. Now, they're going to be without Minkah Fitzpatrick, so that's another body less in that secondary that still needs more talent. And when you look at it from the other side of the ball, I expect Pittsburgh to potentially put up some points this week. So he's going to have to keep them in ball games. Now, again, 4 touchdowns, heck of a day for a rookie coming in off the bench cold. And he most likely, if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm starting him the rest of the year. Absolutely, see what you have. Because at the end of the day, you're still in contention for a wild card spot. But at face value, I'm not going to go over him heels here, but he was good. He made the throws that he needed to. The deep balls are pretty. We know he has that in his game. But now it's about when guys are in his face, moving outside the pocket, setting protections. That's going to be the biggest thing for him moving forward in these next few weeks and getting them a win on Thursday Night Football.
Ryan, as we begin to wrap up, the Jaguars bye week, they come back and play San Francisco, who just added Chase Young to our already loaded defensive line unit. I mean, they just got, I think, 5 former first-round picks now on the San Francisco 49er defensive line. What's your thought about Chase Young and what he'll do in San Francisco?
Yeah, Chase, look, former top 5 pick for Washington. Just got to stay healthy. He has all the tools that you look for, big, strong, fast, right, that you take. That's why Washington took him with the 2nd overall pick back in 2020. And then now in San Francisco with the defensive players that you just mentioned, and then you got Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner roaming the second level with Talanoa Hufanga coming down to the box. The names are there. But at the end of the day, Ryan, the NFL, as we both know, is not spreadsheet football. You have to line up man-to-man and win. And that's ultimately with Chase. The rookie year was great, but he hasn't been healthy really since. We've seen him a little bit in 2023, the potential that he has. Is he a rental right now for San Francisco to where they pay him postseason? We will see. But at the end of the day, he's got to stay healthy, and he's going to be able to provide that extra push on the opposite side of Nick Bosa, along with Drake Jackson, who's been a nice pick for them out of USC a couple years ago.
You know, I'll tell you this, too, is the trade deadline happened earlier this week. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, you do a lot of work with the Washington Commanders, Ryan. As we say goodbye here, is it total rebuild mode? That's what it appears on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Harris has completely taken hold of this team. This is year 4 of Ron Rivera, right? New ownership, 3-5 with the talent that they have is just not – it's simply not acceptable. They've seen flashes on offense with Sam Howell. It looks to be the guy. Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator, looks to be the guy. But with Ron Rivera in town, Jack Del Rio, defensive coordinator, it just hasn't been enough. They haven't gotten what they needed from a tandem perspective with Chase and Montez. Now they're elsewhere. They've locked up Deron Payne and John Allen in the middle. They've locked up Terry on offense. It's a full rebuild mode for Washington right now. And hopefully they can get back to relevancy for one of the really NFL's most historic organizations that hasn't been relevant since Dan Snyder prior took over the team in the late 90s.
Ryan, final question. There are 4 teams in the AFC that are 6-2. 2 of them actually play this week, Kansas City and Miami over in Germany. Then, of course, you got the Jags and the Ravens. Right now, late October, early November, how would you rank those 1 through 4?
I would go, as long as number 15 swing it to 87, I would go with the Kansas City Chiefs, number 1, that defense, which I'm higher on than others. Miami with that offense, you could really say 1 and 1A. And then I would actually have the Ravens at 3 with Lamar and that defense, which is arguably the best defense in football. And I would have the Jaguars right there. So 4th for me among those top 4. But there's a lot of football to be played. And from what I've seen from this Jacksonville roster, I'd be extremely excited about a young, hungry roster. And also momentum in sports is a scary, scary thing. If they're able to come off this bye and beat the San Francisco 49ers, then the rest of the league needs to wake up.
Ryan Fowler, Bleacher Report. He's certainly one of our guys here on 1010XL. Ryan, I know you're very busy, man. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan.
If you can't get your fill of football, Fridays at 3, 1010XL brings you a football feast.
From the look of your diet, it's obvious you're not too interested in counting calories.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Rehabilitation Football Friday night.
When you roll into a convenience store for some cold Bud Light, you want to make sure it's, well, cold. Check out the big coolers at Circle K. They make sure it's chilled and ready to go for the big game or party. Swing by Circle K and pick up some cold Bud Light.
Hey, babes, the toilet is running.
Really? Oh, where's it going?
Well, Mr. Funny Man, it's going to our water bill, increasing our monthly costs, which are already sky high. Not to mention the absolute waste of water.
Yeah, okay then. I'll call Duck Duck Rooter.
Toilet running? Clogged drain or leaky faucet? We have your solution. Duck Duck Rooter, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
904-862-6769.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
The Knights of Columbus 5535 Annual Golf Tournament is November 6th at Glen Kernan Country Club. To find out how to play or sponsor, call 249-5535.
You can play golf with Josh Scobie and other former Jaguars players and celebrities while raising money for the first tee. November 13th at Deerwood Country Club's first tee open.
Your high school girls can join the Duval Tides girls rugby team. No tryouts and no experience necessary. Learn everything you need to know at Jack's HS Girls Rugby on Facebook and Instagram.
To walk in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Light the Night Walk on November 16th at UNF. Register at lightthe.night.org.
Your kids 6 to 18 can compete in track and field in the Police Athletic League. Sign up at jackspalsports.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Denny Thompson here. Are you a home builder looking for a reliable low-voltage partner? Look no further than Tyson Sound & Security. They've been working hard with large and small builders for 15 years. Here's why they are the top choice. They will enhance your home buyer's home experience by offering custom home design appointments, and your budget stays intact while they deliver top quality services. Builders, send your plans over today to bid. Tyson Sound & Security, security and home automation experts.
Get your news and notes from the swamp.
Alligators ornery cause they got all them teeth.
I'm Taylor Dahl, and I'll bring you the Gator Report to keep you connected to Gainesville.
Wow! Brought to you by Darley's Plumbing, where quality counts on 1010XL.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Are you about ready to deck the halls for the holidays, but your home is cluttered with unwanted junk? Don't let the mess dampen your holiday spirit. Call J-Dog Junk Removal. And it's not just about cleaning up your space, it's about making a positive impact. You deserve a clutter-free home to celebrate in style. They're on a mission to make your holidays brighter and your home junk-free. Call now at 844-GET-JDOG or enter your zip code at jdog.com. J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned, veteran-operated.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Malfunctions in your electrical panel can lead to hazards like fire or power outages, leaving your home at risk. So leave it to the pros and Mr. Sparky.
888-8-Sparky. Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The NBA, now about a week into its regular season. I had to catch up on a lot. A lot of guys changed addresses over the offseason, and a nice little start for the Orlando Magic, who are already out on a West Coast road trip. With that, let me bring in my friend Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report and Forbes. He's one of our NBA guys here on 1010XL. Brian, I trust your offseason was good to you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I cover the Sixers, so unfortunately the offseason was not very fun this year. But I'm happy to say that basketball is back, and it's just nice to be able to write something and talk about something other than James Harden for at least now.
Brian Toporek covers the NBA for Bleacher Report and for Forbes. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. You know, we talk about Harden only wants to go to the Clippers. That sounds very familiar to Damian Lillard. At one point only wanted to go to Miami. And the last time you and I talked, that was the foregone conclusion, right? He'll end up in Miami until, lo and behold, he ends up in Milwaukee to team up with Giannis. Just your thought on Lillard in Milwaukee, and does that clearly make them the favorite in the East?
I don't think they're clearly the favorite. I think they're right there with Boston. I think those two are clearly the co-favorites. But Boston made a big all-in move of its own, or I guess two big moves of its own with Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday this offseason. I mean, the fit between Dame and Giannis, you saw it on opening night against the Sixers. Dame provides them with something offensively that they have not had in the Giannis era. I mean, he was their closer in that game, and the Dame Giannis pick and roll, I'm sure there's a way to defend it. I'm sure teams will figure it out, but it's when those two guys are on, it's going to be really hard to stop them. I think the concern with Milwaukee and Boston, frankly, is depth. Both teams had to give up a lot to get in these big acquisitions this offseason. So, I think the regular season, at least the next couple months, is figuring out whether the current pieces on the roster can fill in those spots from 6, 7, 8, 9 in the rotation. And if not, are they able to acquire anyone else either via trade or on the buyout market after the trade deadline? So, they have a lot of time to figure that stuff out, but both Boston and Milwaukee, the top end talent there is just absurd.
You know, I took a screenshot of the NBA Eastern Conference standings yesterday, and it was almost an emotional moment for me because the Orlando Magic, 2 games in, sit at the top at 2-0. And look, they've beat a couple interesting teams, I guess, in Houston and Portland. They're out west. They got a tough slate with Lakers, Clippers, Jazz, all coming up. In fact, it's crazy. They play the Lakers in L.A., and then they play the Lakers again in Orlando on Saturday, and they're done with the Lakers. On November 4th, the Magic-Lakers series is over for the year, which is just nuts. You see the vision, though, Brian, right? I mean, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac, they're healthy. They weren't healthy last year, and it buried them at the beginning of the year. They're healthy now, and they actually look like an NBA basketball team.
Yeah, Cole Anthony, too, off the bench has been sensational for them so far, and they got him signed right before the deadline to a pretty reasonable contract extension. So, yeah, I mean, this is the next step of the Magic's rebuild. You know, I'd say Paolo and Franz are the key cornerstone guys moving forward, and it's now just figuring out which of the many, many other young guys they have on the roster between Fultz, Carter, Suggs, Anthony Black, who they just drafted, Jett Howard, who they just drafted, Cole Anthony, like which of these guys are long-term keepers. And that's probably the next year or two of this rebuilding process, is figuring that out. And then, you know, Franz and Paolo, their rookie deals will expire at some point. You guys will sign them to contract extensions, and that's when it starts to get a little more difficult to retool around them. So, you know, I think Orlando has approached this rebuild pretty wisely. They don't seem to be in a hurry to expedite anything. I know they signed Joe Ingles this summer, but, you know, he's just a good veteran locker room leader, maybe provides a little bit. I know he hasn't played a ton so far. Could be a tradable contract at the deadline. They've got a bunch of these like middle, you know, 10, 15, $20 million contracts that they can offer. So if a star unexpectedly becomes available, they can force their way into that market. You know, I think Orlando has an exceedingly bright future, and frankly, there are probably very few teams in the NBA on the rebuilding trajectory that have a brighter future than Orlando at the moment.
You know, I know I'm a little biased here, but I mean, they go 11, 12 deep if they want to, and half of those guys are lottery picks. I mean, eventually, you know, it was going to come to fruition where you keep, you know, going in the lottery over and over and over and trading for guys in the lottery, you're bound to get good at some point. And with Paolo, with Franz, with Wendell Carter, with Fultz, you know, Suggs is a lottery guy, Anthony Black's a lottery guy. I mean, they got a lot of young guys on there that have a lot of potential, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, the challenge is going to be you can't keep all of them. So it's figuring out which of these guys are long-term keepers and which of them are the pieces you trade to bring in those long-term keepers. And, you know, there is a ticking clock in that regard. Like you don't have forever to make those decisions, but at the same time, they do have, I'd say realistically, a 2-year window to really figure that stuff out before it becomes, you know, time runs out on them. And we've seen it with, you know, the Atlanta Hawks, I think, are a good example in recent years where they hit on a ton of draft picks, but then they started having to pay some of these guys. And as soon as you pay them, you know, a guy like John Collins, all of a sudden they had to basically give him away for free this offseason. So that's the type of thing that Orlando is going to want to avoid moving forward. But I think, you know, just where they are in the timeline of their rebuild, they still have a little more time before they need to really start worrying about that.
Final moments with Brian Toporek. He covers the NBA for Bleacher Report and Forbes, and he's certainly one of our guys here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Brian, I mentioned the Lakers. They see Orlando twice this week, earlier this week on Monday, and then they'll see him again on Saturday. And the term load management has already been used, and we're not a week and a half into the year when it comes to LeBron James and to a lesser extent Anthony Davis. I mean, is this where we are with LeBron? Is he a guy now that if he plays 39 minutes one night, he might play 20 minutes the next night?
That's what they said after the first game of the season, and then he's gone way past that limit in the next 2 games. So, I think it sounds nice in theory, and they're, when they can buy him time in the regular season, they're going to try to do so. The Lakers made a lot of moves this offseason that theoretically should reduce how much they rely on guys like LeBron and AD during the regular season. And I think they know they're not going anywhere in the playoffs unless those 2 guys are healthy and, as well rested as they possibly can be. So I understand why they are trying to make it a priority, and it's a nice thing to aspire to. I'm skeptical that they'll actually stick to it, but we'll see. We'll see how things play out over the coming days and weeks.
A week and a half in, it's hard to give, obviously, a hard judgment yet, but your initial thoughts on Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, he's just everything that he was promised to be. I mean, there has just never been someone with his combination of size and skill set. Obviously, things are a little bit rocky because this is, the Spurs are very, very early into a rebuild. They don't have a point guard right now. They're trying Jeremy Sohan, who's a forward, as their point forward. Trey Jones is probably their best option at the point, and even still probably not a league average guy. So that's something that over time they'll find someone to fill that spot, and Wemby will look even better. But he was relatively high on the list of favorites for Defensive Player of the Year coming into the season, and I thought that was just absurd because I just couldn't fathom a rookie winning that award. But if they had a Defensive Rookie of the Year award, he would certainly be winning that one. So he's going to be awesome. The Spurs got so lucky to win the lottery this year, and you have no reason to expect he's not going to be a 15-20 year cornerstone for that franchise.
Brian, as we wrap up, Denver is the defending world champion. Are they the best in the West right now?
They look like it. I mean, they have not missed a beat. Nikola Jokic is just he. Whether you think he's the best player in the world, second best player in the world, third best, whatever, he's certainly in that conversation. Jamal Murray's phenomenal as well. I mean, they brought back their whole starting 5 last year. The depth was their big question after losing Bruce Brown to the Indiana Pacers in free agency, but so far so good. Some of their young guys, Christian Brown and Peyton Watson in particular, look like they're ready to, step into bigger roles in the rotation. And this is going to be the really tricky thing. The NBA has this new collective bargaining agreement that went into effect this summer. It makes it really hard to sustain expensive rosters, which is what Denver has, and you have to make tough choices at some point. So they got priced out of Bruce Brown, and they knew they would have to go a little bit cheaper for, who is our key guys off the bench. And so far, so good. So, I think they're certainly in the conversation. I mean, we haven't seen Phoenix at full strength yet, but, when Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are back, we'll see how they look. The Clippers have looked good so far, although, it's game 3. Let's see if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are healthy in mid-April before we get too excited about them. It's going to be a wide open conference, I think. I think Denver is at the top, but it would not shock me. Like, the Pelicans have looked very good so far. Memphis, who was the 2 seed last year, seems in danger of already, the wheels already might be coming off for them with John Morant suspended for 25 games. Steven Adams is out for the year.
Are they going to survive without Morant until he gets back? That was my last question. I mean, they look bad right now, and Morant's still not coming back for another 2 months.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think the West is just too good that they're probably going to fall into a hole that is a little too deep to overcome. It's, I don't want to rule them out because they could always go on a run once he comes back. But I think the loss of Adams, Brandon Clark is still out. It's unclear whether he's going to come back this year. That's just a lot of key pieces to what made you the number 2 seed last year. So I think given how many other teams in the West went into this season with the intention of competing for a playoff spot, it'd be different if there were like 5 or 6 rebuilding teams in the West, but it's really just San Antonio and Portland. And, even the team like Houston that's been a bottom feeder for the last couple of years. They made a lot of upgrades this offseason. They are trying to push this thing forward. So it's going to come at the expense of some team, and I fear that it might be Memphis.
Brian Toporek, Bleacher Report, and Forbes, certainly one of our guys here talking NBA on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Brian, basketball's back, brother. We always enjoy the conversation. We'll dial your phone in a couple of weeks.
That sounds good. Anytime.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
And thank you to my friend Brian Toporek of Bleacher Report and Forbes for joining us here on Hacker After Dark as the NBA back underway. We are now a week into the regular season. I love it. Boy, my Magic got off to a decent start at 2-0, but then back-to-back Lakers and Clippers, they have certainly fallen back down to planet Earth. My big takeaways from the evening here on Hacker After Dark, well, as I told you guys back in hour number one, I almost think some in the national media are doing the Jaguars a favor. Now, they are getting a lot of recognition, right? Stephen A. Smith as the Jaguars number 2 in the NFL. I believe Sunday Night Football, Pro Football Talk has them number 2 in the NFL. So it's not every media outlet, but it's guys like Chris Broussard. It's guys like, what's his name, Craig Carton or whoever he is up there in New York. When they rip the team and they rip the fans, as much as we're not supposed to care about it down here, the fact is the Jaguar fan base does care about it down here. The Jaguar fan base gets a little PO'd about stuff like that. And as a result of stuff like that, word starts infiltrating the city. It's us against them. The whole Duval versus all y'all mantra will come back. And then that's why you see the team kind of feed off of that, because the fans are feeding off all that national negativity. I remember back in the late 90s where nobody took the Jaguars for real, and that sign on Monday Night Football, "Wake up, America, the teal is real." And I think we're having another resurgence of that here in 2023. So the way I figure it, let the negativity flow, man. Rip the Jaguar fan base, rip the team, rip the city, rip the organization, because some fan bases wouldn't care about that. Here in Jacksonville, we get ticked off about stuff like that, and I think it fuels not only the fans, but I also believe it fuels the players and the organization to prove all the people outside of Jacksonville wrong. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very, very busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Brian Toporek, he's one of my main NBA guys, Bleacher Report and Forbes. Thank him for joining us this evening here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Judd Zolgad of Score North and VikingsWire.com to give us a little Ezra Cleveland talk. Again, the Jaguars acquired him yesterday at the trade deadline, so appreciate Judd coming on and giving us a little insight into the newest Jacksonville Jaguar. Also want to thank my friend Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Always appreciate Cecil stopping by every week here on Hacker After Dark. And Ryan Fowler, NFL writer for Bleacher Report. Always enjoy talking ball with Ryan, and we appreciate him taking time out for us here on 1010XL. We'll be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will do it all over again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
1010XL goes into the swamp.
Working to the end zone, spins it on in. Touchdown.